Imagine waking up in a world where a simple walk in the woods could mean coming face to face with a massive, prehistoric apex predator. It has been 4 years since the catastrophic destruction of Isla Nublar, and the impossible has happened. Dinosaurs are no longer confined to theme parks or isolated islands. They are completely off the leash, roaming freely across the entire globe, hunting in our forests, swimming in our oceans, and flying in our skies. Humanity is now forced to share the top of the food chain, and the transition has been absolutely brutal. Deep in the isolated, snow-covered wilderness of the Sierra Nevada mountains, former raptor trainer Owen Grady and dinosaur activist Claire Deering are living completely off the grid. They are fiercely protecting a 14-year-old girl named Maisie Lockwood. Maisie is not an ordinary teenager. She is a perfect, flawless genetic clone. Because of her completely unique DNA, she is the most valuable scientific specimen on the planet, heavily hunted by ruthless genetic corporations. While Owen and Claire try to give Maisie a normal life, they realize they aren't the only ones hiding in the woods. Blue, the highly intelligent, hyper-lethal velociraptor that Owen trained years ago, has miraculously managed to reproduce on her own. She is raising a tiny, vicious baby raptor named Beta. For a brief moment, humans and dinosaurs coexist peacefully in the frozen woods. But peace never lasts in this new, terrifying world. A heavily armed team of ruthless mercenaries hired by the corrupt and powerful Biosyn Genetics Corporation has tracked Maisie down. In a terrifying, highly coordinated ambush, the mercenaries violently snatch the baby raptor Beta in a net and quickly kidnap Maisie while she is biking through the snowy trails. Owen frantically chases the speeding mercenary truck through the thick snow on horseback, but he is completely outrun. Filled with absolute rage, Owen and Claire vow to hunt the kidnappers to the ends of the earth. At the exact same time, a terrifying, apocalyptic plague is aggressively spreading across the American Midwest. Massive, prehistoric locusts, insects the size of house cats with razor-sharp mandibles, are completely devastating the global food supply. They are violently swarming and eating millions of acres of human crops in seconds. But brilliant paleobotanist Dr. Ellie Sattler makes a chilling, terrifying discovery. The locusts are destroying every single crop on Earth, except for the seeds genetically engineered by the Biosyn Corporation. Realizing that Biosyn is deliberately weaponizing prehistoric bugs to control the global food market, Ellie knows she needs absolute proof to expose them. She tracks down her old partner, the legendary paleontologist Dr. Alan Grant. Despite his extreme reluctance to ever deal with dinosaur genetics again, Grant agrees to help her infiltrate Biosyn's highly secure, state-of-the-art sanctuary hidden deep within the treacherous Dolomite Mountains of Italy. Meanwhile, Owen and Claire's desperate hunt for Maisie leads them to the absolute darkest, most dangerous corner of the New World, the dinosaur black market in Malta. This underground criminal empire is a horrifying, chaotic hellscape where ruthless smugglers force dinosaurs to fight to the death in brutal betting rings, and illegal exotic carnivores are sold to the highest bidder. Owen and Claire infiltrate the violent market, but their cover is immediately blown. The Biosyn smugglers, completely ruthless and heavily armed, decide to unleash their most terrifying biological weapons. They open the cages of the Atrociraptors. These are heavily engineered, hyper-aggressive killing machines that have been specifically trained to lock onto a target's scent using a laser pointer. Once they are marked, the raptors will never, ever stop hunting until the target is completely ripped to shreds. A ruthless smuggler points a laser directly at Owen and Claire, marking them for death. What follows is one of the most intense, heart-pounding chases in human history. Claire frantically leaps across the deadly, sun-baked rooftops of Malta, desperately jumping from building to building as an Atrociraptor aggressively snaps its razor-sharp jaws just inches from her feet. Owen jumps onto a roaring motorcycle, speeding through the narrow, crowded, and chaotic stone streets of the city. A pack of terrifying Atrociraptors violently chases him down, dodging traffic, leaping over cars, and crashing through outdoor cafes with absolute, brutal ferocity. They are faster than cheetahs and completely relentless. Realizing they cannot outrun the monsters forever, Owen and Claire manage to board a moving cargo plane piloted by a tough, rogue smuggler named Kayla Watts. As the plane violently takes off from the runaway, Owen speeds his motorcycle up the loading ramp just as a raptor leaps into the air behind him, plunging into the ocean below. They escape the city by the absolute skin of their teeth, immediately setting a course for the heavily fortified Biosyn sanctuary. But entering Biosyn airspace is a literal death sentence. As Kayla's cargo plane flies over the massive, frozen peaks of the Dolomite Mountains, the radar suddenly blips. A colossal Quetzalcoatlus, a terrifying flying reptile with the wingspan of a fighter jet, violently bursts from the clouds. The massive beast violently rips into the plane's metal fuselage with its massive beak, tearing the engines completely apart. The plane is going down in flames. Claire is forced to violently eject in a parachute, landing helplessly in the absolute center of a terrifying, predator-infested jungle. Owen and Kayla hold on for dear life as the heavy cargo plane violently crashes into an icy, frozen lake, trapping them completely in the deadly, freezing wilderness. Deep inside the Biosyn facility, Ellie Sattler and Alan Grant have successfully snuck inside with the secret help of the brilliant, eccentric chaotician Ian Malcolm, who works for the corrupt company. Together, the legendary trio sneaks into the highly restricted underground laboratories. They manage to steal a DNA sample from the horrifying, massive prehistoric locusts, securing the ultimate proof needed to completely shut the evil corporation down forever. In the absolute darkest levels of the lab, they stumble upon Maisie Lockwood. She has been brought to Dr. Henry Wu, the original creator of the Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Wu reveals a shocking, world-changing truth. Maisie is not just a clone. Her DNA was genetically altered by her mother to completely eradicate a fatal disease. Wu desperately needs Maisie's perfect, altered DNA, along with the baby raptor Beta, to engineer a highly contagious virus that will kill the prehistoric locusts before they literally eat the entire world. Out in the freezing, terrifying wilderness, Owen and Kayla desperately search for Claire. As they cautiously step onto a massive frozen reservoir, the thick ice begins to violently crack. A terrifying feathered pyroraptor violently bursts from beneath the freezing water. It aggressively hunts them on the slippery ice, using its massive claws to dive in and out of the freezing water like a deadly prehistoric torpedo. At the same time, Claire is completely alone and terrified in the dense, dark jungle. She desperately crawls through the mud, hiding under the surface of a murky swamp as a massive, horrifying Therizinosaurus, a towering, blind herbivore with razor-sharp claws the size of swords, stalks her through the thick brush. Just when the nightmare seems insurmountable, the two separated groups finally collide, uniting the legendary heroes of the past with the brave survivors of the present. The newly united, massive team of survivors, combining the legendary heroes of the original Jurassic Park with Owen, Claire, and Maisie, desperately tries to navigate out of the treacherous, dark valley in the dead of night. Exhausted, covered in mud, and completely battered, they seek temporary shelter in an abandoned, rusted observation outpost suspended over the jungle floor. But as they quietly step onto the heavy metal grating, the air suddenly goes dead silent. The crickets stop chirping. The earth beneath their feet begins to violently, rhythmically shake. The true,
absolute apex predator of the sanctuary has finally arrived. The Giganotosaurus. This is a colossal, monstrous carnivore, significantly larger, heavier, and far more aggressive than the legendary T-Rex. Its thick, armored scales are covered in brutal scars from countless battles. The massive beast slowly emerges from the pitch-black shadows of the tree line, its terrifying, cold reptilian eyes locking directly onto the humans trapped inside the illuminated outpost. It aggressively stalks toward the heavy glass windows, exhaling a massive cloud of hot breath against the glass. The humans freeze, completely terrified, not daring to make a single sound as the monster sniffs the air, detecting their absolute fear. Suddenly, with an earth-shattering roar, the beast violently rams its massive, armored head directly into the structure. The entire metal outpost aggressively tilts. The reinforced, bulletproof glass begins to splinter, spiderweb, and crack under the immense, crushing pressure of the dinosaur's skull. The humans scream in absolute terror as the beast's massive, razor-sharp jaws tear entirely through the metal framing, ripping the outpost open and nearly tearing the group to absolute shreds. In a desperate, wildly heroic move, the eccentric mathematician Ian Malcolm grabs a heavy metal spear, wrapping the end in cloth and lighting it on fire. He bravely steps out onto the broken metal platform, waving the flaming spear to draw the monster's attention. The massive Giganotosaurus snaps at him, allowing the rest of the terrified team to frantically scramble down the emergency maintenance ladders into the dark, underground tunnels. Malcolm violently jabs the burning spear directly into the monster's open mouth, barely diving to safety as the steel jaws snap shut just inches from his boots. Meanwhile, inside the high-tech, heavily guarded control room of the facility, the terrified and utterly cowardly CEO of Biosyn, Louis Dodgson, realizes his evil plans have been completely exposed to the global authorities. In a desperate, panicked attempt to destroy all the biological evidence before he is arrested and his corrupt empire crumbles, he orders the massive, heavily fortified locust containment tanks to be completely incinerated. But the emergency incineration protocol catastrophically fails in the most horrifying way imaginable. The massive, armored bugs catch fire, but their thick, prehistoric exoskeletons prevent them from dying instantly. Driven completely mad by the searing, agonizing heat, millions of flaming, burning locusts aggressively smash against the thick containment glass. The sheer, overwhelming pressure of the swarm causes the glass to violently shatter. The blazing insects escape into the facility's ventilation shafts, exploding out of the massive air ducts and into the pitch-black night sky. They rain down on the entire prehistoric sanctuary like a terrifying, apocalyptic swarm of living meteors. Every single flaming insect that lands in the dry brush instantly ignites the foliage. Within seconds, the ancient forest is violently set ablaze in a massive, unstoppable, towering wildfire. The entire valley is burning to the ground, trapping the dinosaurs and humans in a literal, inescapable hell on Earth.
Forced to flee the blazing inferno on the surface, the surviving heroes navigate the dark, terrifying underground amber mines. The air is thick, damp, and claustrophobic, but the shadows are not empty. As they quietly wade through a flooded cavern, terrifying, guttural growls echo off the cavern walls. A pack of terrifying, sail-backed Dimetrodons aggressively stalks them through the pitch-black tunnels. The creatures snap their razor-sharp jaws, forcing the heroes into a frantic, dead sprint through the waist-deep water. They barely manage to slam a heavy steel gate shut, locking the terrifying beasts behind them as they finally make their way to the facility's main courtyard. At the exact same time, the corrupt CEO, Louis Dodgson, attempts to cowardly flee the burning facility. He carries a heavily encrypted canister
filled with stolen dinosaur embryos, sneaking into an underground hyperloop train. But the blazing forest fire above completely destroys the facility's main power grid. The train violently halts in the absolute middle of the pitch-black tunnels. Dodgson stumbles out into the dark, echoing caverns, relying only on a dim flashlight. Suddenly, terrifying, high-pitched, rattling screeches echo in the absolute darkness. Dodgson is completely cornered by a pack of deadly, highly venomous Dilophosauruses. The creatures step out of the shadows, clicking and hissing. They spread their colorful, terrifying neck frills, vibrating them aggressively before violently spitting thick, black, acidic venom directly into his eyes. Dodgson drops the stolen embryos, screaming in pure, blinding agony as the pack aggressively pounces on him, brutally eating the billionaire alive in the utter darkness. Justice in this world is ruthless. Back in the burning courtyard, the ash is falling from the sky like gray snow. The human heroes desperately rush to board a waiting military rescue helicopter, but their path is completely blocked by a titanic, earth-shattering death match. The legendary original T-Rex has arrived in the courtyard, letting out a deafening roar as it violently charges the monstrous Giganotosaurus. The two colossal titans bite, slash, and violently slam each other into the burning rubble of the biosyn facility. But the veteran T-Rex is quickly overpowered by the sheer mass of the Giga. The massive tyrant throws the T-Rex violently to the ground, stepping heavily onto its neck. But just as the massive Giga prepares to deliver the fatal, bone-crushing killing bite, a terrifying screech echoes through the flames. The towering blind Therizinosaurus enters the bloody fight. The massive beast aggressively swings its steel sword-like claws, slashing the Giganotosaurus across the face. Using the distraction, the T-Rex violently scrambles back to its feet. In a massive, brutal, final clash of the titans, the T-Rex charges with absolute fury, violently shoving the Giganotosaurus forward. The massive momentum pushes the tyrant directly into the massive, extended claws of the Therizinosaurus. The claws impale the Giganotosaurus completely through the chest. The massive monster lets out one final gurgling roar before collapsing dead into the burning rubble. The true king of the dinosaurs has reclaimed its throne. As dawn breaks over the smoldering, smoking ashes of the valley, the heroes successfully escape in the helicopter with the stolen DNA, the locust cure, and the rescued baby raptor. Back in the freezing, snowy mountains, Owen and Claire safely return the baby Beta to a grateful Blue. The highly intelligent raptor gives Owen one final, respectful glance before disappearing into the deep trees with her child. Across the globe, humanity slowly realizes that they cannot control these magnificent, terrifying creatures. They must finally learn to respect nature, coexisting alongside the dinosaurs in a fragile, completely changed world. If you loved this epic, action-packed movie recap, make sure to absolutely smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. Turn on those notifications and let me know in the comments below what movie universe I should absolutely recap next. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.